Hello, my name is Dietmar Pohl. I'm the designer of the new Rambo 5 Last Blood tactical knives. We are actually here on the movie set of Rambo 5 Last Blood. This is the farmhouse where Rambo lives in the movie, and which he had from his family, from his parents. And the set designer did such a great job here to design all this. And as you probably know, the film is filmed here in Bulgaria. But what the set designer did here is unbelievable. That's really like in the United States. This could really be Arizona. And I will show you also the knife that I designed for, one of the two knives that I designed for Rambo 5 Last Blood. And I will give you some more details on the knife. So let's check it out. Let me tell you a little bit more about me and my history, and how I became a knife designer and how much First Blood influenced me. As many of you know, First Blood was the first movie in the franchise that was filmed back in 1982. In 1982, I was 16 years old, and I saw that magazine, that movie magazine, that was shown to me by a friend of mine. It's called Stefan. And it showed Sylvester Stallone in his role as Rambo with that big survival knife on the throat of Sheriff Teasel, Brian Dennehy. And I was so amazed by this picture. And I was a knife lover before. That goes back to my brother Jürgen, who was a German airborne soldier. And one day he came back from airborne training, and he had that typical German gravity paratrooper knife with him, and he showed it to me. I was 11 years old. And that impressed me so much that from then on I loved knives. And in that time, in the late 70s, everything was still under the pressure of the Vietnam War. There were many movies about the Vietnam War. John Wayne made The Green Berets. There were Apocalypse Now. All these movies dealing with Vietnam impressed me a lot. So I knew a lot about special forces, Vietnam, paratroopers, and so on. And of course about knives. And when I saw the movie the first time, and that was a cold winter day in just after New Year, it was January 1983, I went with my brother and his soon-to-become father-in-law into that movie theater, and it was a Sunday evening, and I saw First Blood, and that impressed the hell out of me. To see Sly playing Rambo, being a Vietnam veteran, being highly trained as a special forces, survived all this stuff, and then fighting against a sheriff and his deputies in the woods, and how he survived and how he took control over the situation. And he used his knife, his survival knife. And the survival knife at that time came from a knife designer and knife maker called Jimmy Lyle. And Jimmy Lyle made a knife that was so unique in his own way that it influenced many knife designers and knife companies later on. So little Dietmar, 16 years old, the next morning went down in the basement of his father's house and took his K-bar knife that I had in my possession, and I used a round file to put a serration on the back of the blade. So that was my first interpretation of a survival knife, of a Rambo knife. And I had that for a while. But there was always that thing in me to really want to have the original knife. And so many years later, about 10 years later, I had the real big opportunity to get one of the original 13 knives that Jimmy Lyle made for the movie. And after I finished university, I started working in the knife industry and to become not only a marketing expert, but also a knife designer at the same time. Then, of course, the other movies in the franchise, the Rambo franchise, came out, and all of them were a little different. Rambo 2, or First Blood 2, had almost the same knife, just a little bigger, with a black finish on it. The blade shape was a little different. Then Rambo 3 came out a few years later. It was a big Bowie knife. And the last knife that was used in Rambo 4 was more a kind of crude machete that he forged by himself. So when the movie team approached me to design knives for Rambo 5 Last Blood, it was very clear after the first look into the script and everything that Sly wants to have this time a tactical knife with roots in the time when he did First Blood, a more tactical and also at the same time technical knife. And that's what I did. And here is one of the two knives that I designed for him. And he later called that thing the Heartstopper. This is a 9-inch blade, tactical fighter, with a sub-hilt, with OD green canvas Mikada handles, with titanium guard, two-tone satin finish. It has also, by the end of the handle, a so-called skull crusher. And that's the knife that he's using in the final fight scenes. And it's really a modern tactical knife. And the idea of the color combination also with the sheath was to bring that knife into the same style with the material and the finish like the First Blood knife. The First Blood knife had also a two-tone sandblasted, satin finished blade, a OD green wrapped cord handle, and a brown leather sheath. So that was the First Blood knife. And my idea was, when it's now really the end of the franchise and the Last Blood knife, it should have at least the same look as the First Blood knife. And it's also very technical, and that's the knife that he's using. And I'm extremely proud to be part of it. And for me, after now 35 years, it closes a circle. As I said, I was 16 years old, a teenager, worked his whole life after university in the knife industry, made so many knife designs for important people like Kalashnikov, like General Wagner, the founder of the GSG line. So many of my knives went into special forces. Many knives saw combat in Iraq and in Afghanistan and in Mali. So combat knives and tactical knives are such a big part in my life. And to be the designer for the tactical knives of Rambo 5 Last Blood is a great honor. And also the work with Sly was really incredible. I can only say that it's an honor and a pleasure, and he's such a great guy. We work together, and I'm very, very proud that not only his story ends here with Rambo 5 Last Blood, but also for me at the same time that I had really the unique opportunity to do this last design for the movie. And so it's in some kind an end for us both. Of course, I will work more in the knife industry, of course, and running my own company. But again, it was such a privilege to do that thing. And I wish to thank you very much for your attention. And yeah, check out the movie. It's really, really cool. Thank you.